welcome back. It is day 5. I can't believe that these days have run on so quickly. Today is going to be an excellent day. It's one of my favorite topics, to be completely honest with you, because what we're going to be talking about today is faith. And faith really is the main elixir to creating a life of your freedom. Now, faith, we normally, I suppose, when we think about the word faith, we think of religion, perhaps. But however, it is a spiritual element and it is very essential to creating a life that you want. But today we're going to help you understand how you can choose faith over fear. That's what today is all about. And I really want you to stick around. Thank you for being here in the portal. Thank you for being here in Dynamite Effect. And today we're going to bring everything that you've learned into a kind of a landing. And I want you to reflect now as we sit here, before we get into applied faith, and really ask yourself, what have you learned this week? What golden nuggets have you taken away that are really you're going to start to put into practice? Because I am not interested in just you coming here for an hour every day and me just kind of motivating you and sharing some great information. I want you to go out and make massive impact so that you can increase your income, you can increase your health, you can increase your quality of relationships, you can increase the amount of more time that you've got. Now, we've talked about all of these subjects. Day 1, we were explaining who you are. What is the mind? Now, if you haven't listened to any of the recordings, go back into the portal and watch them. Because over these last 5 days, this is not any other type of 5-day masterclass. This is not just something that I'm leading up to sell you something at the end, okay? The only thing I want you to do is to come and speak to us. That's it. There's nothing else, all right? But I want you to go back, because I truly believe that you're here for a reason. I truly believe that we're in a time in life where this information is the most critical to understand and apply. And that's the critical component. The application of knowledge is what really moves you forward. Knowledge alone will only get you so far. So on day 1, what we explained was you are energy. You're a spiritual being living in a physical body. And this is just looking at quantum physics, okay? This is what we deal with. I'm a high performance mentor and I help people close the gap from where they are to where they want to be. So the 2 things you've got to really understand first is who you are, where you are, and where you want to be. And that moved us into day 2, because day 2 then was all talking around goals. Your C-type goal. What is it that you really, really want for your life? And if you listen to that and you really did the things that I explained, then you should have a better picture of what it is that you want in your life. Now, I don't believe that you'll have absolute specifics, because simply, I just know that we haven't even went in anywhere near depth to help you really get that clarity. But that's something that comes over a period of time with studying, with understanding. And that's why this material is probably the most important that you are working on right now in your life, because this is what's going to give you order of mind. This is what's going to give you understanding. And that is really the key to freedom. This freedom series is all about helping people create freedom in their life, whatever that looks like, however that's expressed. And the way I think of it is freedom is really kind of like a state of mind. You have freedom in your choices. You have freedom in your ability to do things. It can be expressed through money, through health, through relationships, but freedom is really an internal knowingness that you know who you are, you know where you're going, and you understand how results happen in this universe. That to me is true freedom. Because as Bob Proctor, who's my close mentor, tells me all of the time, Kim, there's only one problem in the world, and that's ignorance. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And what is ignorance? I'm not talking about you being or somebody being ignorant as in rude. I'm talking about when somebody doesn't understand something, they are what we call ignorant to it. And what happens is most people, when they don't know how to do something, they put it down, they ridicule it, or they just think that's not for them. Okay. And when you have ignorance around any subject, do you know what comes very closely in behind? Fear. If you don't know how to do something, it usually pokes at us, our confidence, and it creates fear. So that's really what we're going to talk about today, fear versus faith. Now, do you know what's really cool about this? Fear and faith both ask you to believe in something you cannot see. So you might be sitting here going, I'm not sure if I really buy into this. I don't know. It's all a wee bit strange. But what you've got to realize is you are buying into these principles. You're working by these principles. Every single person that's watching here today is working by universal law. There's no doubt about that. I'm sitting in a seat, thankfully, there's gravity. I can't just go, no, I'm not going to work by universal law. I'm going to be the only human in the world that doesn't work for it. You can't escape it. Now, since you're already working by law, which you are, what I help you do is work by law so that it works for you. And that's the big difference. I never understood universal laws. I never understood how to make it easier for myself and get out of my own way. But when I started to gain an understanding, and that's what the opposite is to ignorance, when I started to understand how to do it, and then you apply it backed with an unwavering faith, that's when everything starts to click. Now, to go through that process, I don't think that it's everyone will do it. I think it's for everyone. I think everyone in this entire planet has more talent and ability than they'll ever probably use. But it's only going to be certain people. It's only going to be a certain percentage, a very small percentage, that will actually listen to what we're doing and actually start to move on it. Make a decision. Now, I know that you've got decisions to make, and we all make decisions every day. And even if you think you're not a good decision maker, you are, because when you don't make a decision, that is a decision in itself. So we've got to really start to bring everything we've learned together this week and really go, okay, what do I do with this? You know, a free masterclass for 5 days is only going to get you so far. You've got to now say, what am I going to do with this? I don't want you to go out and start to listen to more stuff and buy the books that I've recommended. That's all well and good. But you probably, as we realized, I think on day 3, you already know how to do better. The problem is not in knowing. The problem is in the application of the knowingness, the doing, okay? And that's, of course, where paradigms came in. So day 1, we taught you that you are the creator of your reality. Your thoughts are creating your world, okay? Day 2, we started to look at, what do you want? I hit the pause button and go, what do I really want? What do I really want out of life? How do I want to feel? How do I want to live? What does that lifestyle look like? How do I want to work? Do you want to work every day? Do you want to work part-time? Do you want to work a few hours? The whole key of day 2 was that you use your imagination. You think in possibilities. You think beyond where you've went before. And then day 3 quickly came in with, okay, what are all the reasons that you think you can't do that? And the reason that I bring that in that day is because I know that as soon as you start to think about what you want, there's a little voice comes up to tell you why you should stay where you are. Whatever that looks like for you, procrastination, your habits, their beliefs, self-confidence, thoughts around money, reality, as some people like to call it, okay? And that's what happens, okay? So I teach you this because I understand human psychology and performance. And I understand that there's a process that you go through. Even when you start to contemplate going after what you really want, it's almost like suddenly internally there's a volcano going off. And I'm sure some of you have felt that over these few days. And that's actually a really good sign, really good sign. You might not be enjoying it, but it's a really good sign, because think of it like this. If you weren't feeling that, then you wouldn't really be being drawn to this. You wouldn't really want this. If you weren't interested in achieving more, you wouldn't even be here. You wouldn't be feeling what you're feeling. So I want you to learn today to lean into that, resistance that possibly you're feeling, because that is exactly what's going to give you this quantum leap. This 5-day series is about quantum leaping your goals. But one of the big things is you have to first decide that you want to do that and that you're committed to doing that. Okay, so today I want to bring it into kind of a homeland to really explain These are internal things that are going on for you perhaps right now as you start to move forward. I've no doubt you've had goals in the past. I've no doubt that any of that has happened. But what we've got to now do is really get you to take action. Now, to start off today's call, I'm going to read just one little paragraph out of Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And it's one of my favorite little paragraphs. And it says, there is a difference between wishing for a thing and being ready to receive it. No one is ready for a thing until they believe that they can acquire it. The state of mind must be belief, not mere hope or wish. Open-mindedness is essential for belief. Closed minds do not inspire faith, courage, and belief. And this is the best part. Remember, no more effort is required to aim high in life, to demand abundance and prosperity, than is required to accept misery and poverty. So there's no more effort required to live the good life than what you're already doing. Now that in itself, that's because you know you've been working harder than you've ever worked. You know that you've been putting in more time, more effort. You know that that's potentially causing you some mental stress, negative thought patterns, negative habits. We identified those on day 3. So the real question is, are you willing to do what it takes to turn that on its head? Are you, see, most people, and even the people watching this, there's going to be some of you, this is it. You've now woken up. You're like, yes, this is it. I know what I need to do. Some of you will just still have a nice idea. It's still a hope. It's still a wish. And if anything out of this week, I want you to understand so much that the hoping and the wishing, the fantasy ideas and sticky boards and vision boards, all of that stuff will never bring you what you want until you've made a committed decision that you're going to change your thinking. You've got to rewire that subconscious mind. It is not enough to watch this all week and go, right, okay, I'm out there. I know what I'm going to do, because you haven't changed your paradigms. You haven't changed your habits yet. You haven't changed your beliefs. And that's what you've now got the opportunity to do. Do I want to go on the pursuit of working on my mindset, which is critical first and foremost before anything else, so that you can work on your goals and start achieving? Or are you just going to keep doing the same? And I don't want you to fall into that. I don't want you to make that mistake. I want you to be fully ready to commit to you. This is about you, okay? So always remember that. That's why the 3% is much smaller, because you've got to be willing to make those decisions. A lot of people want success, but are unwilling sometimes to do what it takes to achieve it, okay? So what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to be reading from U Squared, that little book that I told you guys to get by Price Pritchard. It's all about, mine's completely fallen apart, but it's called U Squared. And essentially, this is all about quantum leaps, which is what I've been teaching you over this last couple of days. And I'm reading from page 28, okay? And this little chapter is called Get Uncomfortable. It says, quantum leaps jerk you out of your comfort zone. Okay. So if anybody's feeling a little bit like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I really want to go for this and this goal, and you don't feel so great, that's a normal part of the process. It says, prepare yourself for a pretty wild ride. You're going to cover some unfamiliar terrain and encounter obstacles that you've never faced before. It can feel like a safety chain linking you with behavior patterns that worked in the past. It's being stretched to the limit. At times you may wonder if the situation is about to spin out of control. So how many people can resonate with that? You're just thinking, I don't know, I think my mind's going to spin out of control. Okay. Then it says the normal reaction to that is to want to hold on tightly, but you're going to have to learn to let go. Now, letting go, as us human beings, who some of us love to be control freaks, we love to know what's going on and have predictability. This is the part where you're going to have to, if you want the success. If you don't want the success, then, cling on to what you've got. But if you want to do better, if you want to achieve heights of performance and success, not I'm not talking about money and things. I'm talking about living a life of total freedom, of total, what's a good word? Just feeling alive, having so much energy that every day when you waking up, you know what you're going to do. And in the doing of those things, that's what brings happiness. It's not getting to the goal to get, as I explained. You're in journey mode most of the time. As a human being, you are growth oriented. So if anybody says to you, oh no, I'm happy how I am and I'm great, they're lying. Okay. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but either they don't know that they're capable of more or they just want to stay where they are. But as a human being, it is absolute fundamental science that we are always wanting to grow, to be more, have more, give more. When you go to the gym, you do not go in and try to do less than what you did last week. You're always trying to outdo your personal best. And in life, if we're not continuing to do that, we're not going to grow. And if you're not growing, you're dying. And that's really important if you want to have fun and enjoy life and live it to the most. Okay. So he goes on to say, don't be surprised if you grow uneasy. That is a predictable part of the process. When you go for a quantum leap, you've got to ride the situation, but you don't ever really control it. So for all you guys who are more left brain dominant, very analytical, and you love to control things, you're going to have to let go of that. Okay. And for you right brainers that are very creative out there, you're going to have to let go too. Everyone has to let go to gain more. Isn't that such a strange concept? And yet it's so true. I was just teaching my clients here before I jumped on, and I was saying to them, you know, guys, you have got such a beautiful, huge, expansive support system called the universe. Some might call it God, some might call it the universe, some might call it energy. To me, it's all the same thing. I personally believe in God. And we have such an incredible support system, and we never lean on it. Not very often. Like, how many times have you went through a week and you've had maybe situations come up and you feel like you have to deal with it all? Maybe you're dealing with things that are none of your business. That's a habit sometimes we get into. And yet what we've got to learn to do is start to understand the quantum physics that comes around, and we can actually offload a lot of stuff. And that's what I'm going to show you today. And it's such a revelation because you don't have to deal with everything on your own, because you're never on your own. And that's another big concept. But again, it's such, and for me, this has been the most important part to everything that I do. And my clients tell me all of the time, Kim, do you know what's the best thing about thinking into results? Is that I become more spiritually aware of who I am and my potential. That is worth more than any amount of money in this entire universe, to really know who you are. And I trust you, when you figure out who you are and you start to learn how to play this game of life, and you've got a rule book that you can just follow, you are going to experience things that right now you probably can't even dream of. But just imagine you went for it. Just imagine that everything I've been saying this week is 100% true. Now, it is true. I don't lie. And until you can prove that the quantum physics is wrong, I would really start to buy into this. Just like I did. I had to borrow Bob's belief. I had no belief. I mean, faith was another whole topic of conversation. I felt very alone. But now I feel confident. I feel content. I feel excited and enthused about what's going to happen in life, because I realize it's all down to me. It's all choice. And I want you to walk away today with that understanding. Your life is your choice. Whatever you choose is down to you. I'm not here to tell you what to choose. That's not right for me to do. But I am here to guide you. And I'm guiding you because I've been down this road further than some of you. Now, that doesn't anything to do with age. It's got nothing to do with education. It's got nothing to do with any of those things. It's got to do with awareness. When you develop your conscious level of awareness, you are going to have experiences that you can share with other people. And this is like the pay it forward kind of concept. So that's why I'm here giving you this free content and value, because I know it's going to make a huge change in so many people's lives. And I want you to be one of them. Okay. So as usual, I'm going to do some drawing for you so that you can really get a good idea of maybe what's been going on up until now in terms of your feelings. So let me connect this up for you. Again, guys, if you've any questions, always type into the chat box. We'll always come back and answer some of those questions to really help you fully understand where we're going with it. Now, as you can see on my screen, we're talking about applied faith today, because application is the key to freedom. You got to apply it to create the freedom. So up until this point, what we've been learning is that you look something like this, okay? This is the mind, this is you. We've got the conscious, we've got the subconscious. Now, I told you that we think with our consciousness, okay? And remember, that controls 2 to 4% of everything you do. Then we feel in our subconscious mind. That controls 97 to 98% of everything you do. So I'm just going to write those figures on because I really want you to remember them, okay? So these two parts of your mind are completely what is controlling then the action that you go out and take, all right? Now, what I'm going to add on to this drawing today is what's going on internally when you think about stepping out to go for what you truly want. Because I believe that you all know what you want, but I believe that right now there's something holding you back because you haven't taken the action that you know you should. Maybe you've been sitting here every day this week and I'm saying, okay, I've got a roadmap that will help you get to exactly where you want to go. And I don't doubt that all of you want it, but not all of you will accept it. And we've got to ask ourselves why. And where else is this showing up in your life? Is your fears driving your behavior? Potentially. So what I explained last, I don't know what day it was, I said that there are positive poles in life and there are negative poles in life. Okay. Everything in this universe is governed by energy, and energy works in negative and positive poles. Okay. So we can either think negatively or we can think positively. That's kind of real basic stuff, right? Now, this is where you've got to understand why we're getting the results we're getting. Because if we doubt and worry, let's say you've been sitting here all week and I've said to you, okay, you can have anything you want. And you've went, really? Can I have really anything I want? So I got you to think about a goal. And when you think about a goal, we think about a goal on a conscious level. Then we explained that some of you guys will have doubts and worries. I had doubts and worries, okay? And it doesn't matter what level you're at. As your goals grow, you're actually always going to be kind of terrified of it in the first instance, no matter what level you're at, okay? But hopefully by now you're entertaining the idea that you can actually go out and create freedom. However, what we also said was, depending on what your paradigm is programmed, your habits and your beliefs, whatever they are in harmony with, if they are not matching the goal, that's what's going to cause the conflict, okay? So you end up having this tug of war in your mind. And that tug of war could go on for years. And it will go on until you decide to change it. So what I'm wanting you to learn from this is actually you have, and I'm going to just write this up, you have total choice over what you think, over what you feel, and over what you do. But you may be working out of habit, which is not serving you, okay? So what happens is we doubt and we worry. So this negative is what we call ignorance. When you don't know how to do something, when you don't understand something, you're ignorant to it, okay? Now, that's when you're going to doubt and worry. Now, if you doubt and worry, that must move into the subconscious mind, and that creates fear, okay? I don't think that's new to you. That creates fear. Now, this is so critical, especially for health issues and anybody watching, especially with what we're going on with right now. That fear, as I explained, is energy. Remember, we talked about emotions, energy in motion. So fear must actually be expressed through the body. Now, how that's expressed through the body is usually through anxiety. Okay? If you can resonate with this, I'm sure you probably, this is how every single person's mind works. There's no getting away from it. So the fear turns into anxiety. Now, anxiety is not really expressed, it's suppressed onto the body. Okay, so we've went from the thinking mind to the feeling mind. Now we've got the body to think about. And anxiety is suppressed. We hold it in. Okay. And then that suppression turns to what we call depression. Okay. If you're resonating with this, type in the chat box and let me know. So when we hold a doubt and a worry in our mind, that will turn to fear. The fear then is suppressed into anxiety, and anxiety is then expressed through depression. Okay. So depression, as we all know, is not a good place to be. Now, it goes another step. That, because this is all energy, moving. The depression will start to turn into dis-ease. Okay. That's dis-ease of vibrational harmony. And as we know, it can also mean disease. But that's where the word disease comes from, dis-ease of vibrational harmony. The body breaks down. The body is in a real negative vibration. This body here, your physical body, as we sit here right now, has got so much energy in it, okay? So many molecules of energy that are ready to explode. And your mind, constantly, every day, there's energy flowing into your mind and it fills the body. Now, depending on how you choose to think will determine the vibration that your body is in. And as we explained every single day this week, it's never about your action. It's about the energy behind the action that really makes things happen in this world. Okay. So let me just pause on that. Remember, I think it was day 1. I think I talked about it every day. I talked about attitude. Attitude is the composite of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So whatever is flowing there is what's going to come out. Okay. And the energy in which we work with and we put out into the world is going to be exactly the same as the energy that comes back to us. That's the law of cause and effect. So what we find then is that's what creates our results. Okay. So really what I teach and what you can learn is it's not about taking more action. That's why Napoleon Hill says it takes no more effort or hard work to accept abundance than it is to accept poverty and misery, because it's got nothing to do with what you do. It's got to do with how you do it. Okay. That's what really creates your results. That's where you can work less and earn more. So really what we've always got to be thinking about is, what is the energy my body is in? And if we want that to bring us great stuff, then we've got to start to think differently. Okay. So if you are conditioned through your habits and through your beliefs, your paradigm, which controls 97 to 98% of what you do, then you may doubt and worry all the time, because that's just your habitual thought, to think the worst. I can't do it. How am I going to do this? Maybe your habit is blocking yourself by asking how all the time. And, the bottom line is you don't know how. And if you did, you would not even be here listening to this. So we can't allow such obvious things to hold us back. Of course you don't know the how. That is not new to me, and you shouldn't know the how. Okay, but you can learn how to develop an understanding of the how. All right. So doubt and worry turns into fear, turns into anxiety, turns into depression, and eventually turns into disease. Okay. That's not what you want. That's not what we want you to have. What we want you to do is move on to a different way of thinking. This is where the mindset. So we could ultimately call this a lack mindset down the left-hand side. But what you want to have is an abundant mindset. You want to be tuned into the high frequencies, the high energies. That's where the high quality clients are. That's where the person that, you know, your dream husband or wife is. That's where business is. That's where money is. That's where health is. That's where creative ideas are. That's when you can be more productive. That's when you can stop firefighting and respond. So I don't think there's anybody on this call that does not want to be on this right-hand side that I'm about to draw. Okay. So I also mentioned that there is a law called the law of polarity. Okay. One of these universal laws that we teach. And that states that everything has an opposite. Everything. Every single thing in this universe has an opposite. And if it didn't, it couldn't exist. Okay. Now I want you to think about that for a little second. If I lifted up, let's say, a notebook, okay? It has a front and it has a back, okay? Front, back, that the law of opposites. Everything has an opposite. Now, if this little book did not have a front, then it couldn't have a back. And if it didn't have a back, it wouldn't have a front. So it wouldn't be here. Now, I want you to play with that in your mind. Pick up anything that you've got around you and say, if this didn't have a front, it wouldn't have a back. And if it doesn't have a back and it doesn't have a front, then how can it exist? So what I want you to learn from that is, for anything to exist, it has to have two ends, a positive and a negative, a solution or a problem, lack or abundance. Okay? So the opposite to ignorance and doubt and worry and all of that stuff that we don't want is going to be over on this side. Now, let me find my pen. So the opposite to this negative side, ignorance, is called knowledge. Okay? You've got to gain knowledge, but it's through study. And this is the big one. It's through studying the knowledge that we create an understanding. Okay? That's what we've got to do at a conscious level. We've got to get the right knowledge. We've got to study it so that we gain an understanding. So go back to the analogy of flying a plane. If somebody said to me, Kim, fly a plane, right? Let's just literally imagine this. So I've got senses. One of them's hearing. And you say to me, Kim, go fly that plane. Take over. My thought in my consciousness in here is going to go, no, I can't do that. I don't know how to fly a plane. Okay. I will doubt and I will worry because I don't have an understanding of how to fly a plane. That is instantly going to cause fear within me. When we get fearful, the heart beats, you start to sweat. I mean, the whole electrical system of your body changes. Why? Because this subconscious, that bottom part of the circle, this bit here, that is what controls the body. The conscious doesn't control the body. The subconscious controls the body. So we pick the thought turns into fear. The fear turns into anxiety. The anxiety then is suppressed, and then it turns into depression. So I hope you're following that and that makes sense. I'm trying to explain it as best I can. So this is what happens. Now, if I was to go and learn how to fly a plane, and I gathered the knowledge, and I studied the knowledge. It's not just about, I could buy books about planes. I could put them on the shelf and go, look at this. Look how many books I have about planes. And that's what people do with what we call shelf-help. It's not about running out and doing all the courses under the word of personal development. It's not about reading all the books. Any crap that you hear about read so many books in a year, it's a load of rubbish. Reading books is great if you're applying them. I really only study a couple of books, and it's always the same ones, because it's not about knowledge, it's about understanding. Okay? So when you really study the right things in the right way, you will develop an understanding of how to fly the plane in this analogy. Okay? That turns into faith. I'm going to draw that in a nicer color for you. So what happens is, instead of moving into fear, now that I have an understanding, I develop faith. Now, faith is what every single one of you guys need to go out and achieve your goal. You could call it confidence in yourself, faith in these universal laws, faith that you know no matter what, if you hold the faith, you're always going to win. Imagine every time you went out to do something, start a business, go for a job interview, ask somebody out on a date, do a Facebook Live. Imagine you just had this internal knowingness that you're in the right place, it's the right time, and everything's working out for you. Just imagine you could have that. It's almost like a bubble around you every day. Now, I'm telling you now, you can develop that, because faith is a state of mind. So is fear. And they're both invisible. You can't see them. So you've got to decide, which one am I going to choose to believe in? Because you're believing in one or the other. You can't get away and go, well, I'm not going to be fearful, or I'm not going to do that faith stuff either. I'm just going to be me. No, there's no such thing. Every person from every country, from every situation, background, you only ever have two options: faith or fear. And whichever one you choose will give you exactly what you choose. If you go on the side of fear, you can be sure to experience some anxiety. Depending on the severity of that, it could turn into depression. Depression can turn into the total breakdown. Depending on how bad it is, that's how far it'll go down the little chain. But it doesn't have to be that way. You could learn within a very short period of time, I'm talking a couple of months, how to completely eliminate doubt, worry, and fear, so that you can live on a plane of understanding, so that you can have faith to go out and start the business, take action, make the decisions. It could be that you've got big personal decisions to make. Get into a relationship, remove yourself from a relationship, start a business, end a business. You know, I couldn't even begin to talk about the decisions that are having to be made right now in the world that we live in. And right now, mass consciousness is over here, fearful. And I get it. And you know, we talk about, or the news talks about this invisible enemy. The invisible enemy is 100% correct. Right now it's being expressed in a virus, but the true invisible enemy that has always been here is fear. That's the invisible enemy for all of us. We've got to start to protect ourselves. So moving on to this, you develop faith. Now, faith also must be expressed, but it is expressed. It's not impressed. When you have faith, and you believe in yourself, you don't kind of sit quiet. You're more confident. It's expressed through your body. So this type of energy, faith, is expressed. The energy of fear is suppressed. Okay, that's why you'll see somebody, if they're more in the negative pole, they'll be more shoulders down, head down, not feeling great. Somebody who has lots of confidence, who operates out of a place of faith, will be expressed. Okay, now, disclaimer, this is not talking about ego. I do not believe in the ego being, oh, look at me, how wonderful I am. And unfortunately, because there have been, people experience that and have had, let the ego take over, which in my opinion, ego means edging God out. That's what I believe ego is. And that's when we start to think it's all about us. It's never about us. There is something so much more powerful in this universe that is here to serve you and help you. And that's why you're here, is to create. So the faith turns into well-being, and the well-being is expressed. And then once you start that momentum of energy, because energy it works in momentum, then you start to pick up speed and you get acceleration. Okay? Now, the question is, Kim, how do I choose this side or this side? That is the ultimate question, because you have choice, as we've explained. You've got choice here. So all of energy is flowing into your mind every day. You're hearing me share concepts. And as I share them, as you hear them, you're deciding, do I believe that? Do I not believe that? There's lots of things you're going to go, oh, I really want to buy into that. And what I'm saying is that won't change until you start to study and understand the mind. I'm only just dancing on the top of it right now. But you can start to learn how to use, remember those 6 mind muscles that I was telling you about? Ugh, I cannot spell and talk at the same time. I'll just call them higher mental faculties. Okay, that's what we call them, higher mental faculties, 6 mental muscles. And there is one called reason. And that allows you to choose your thoughts. You have total choice over the thoughts that you allow yourself to think. But the problem is, and this was my problem, I didn't know that. And I was working out of habit. I was just waking up every day and bang, as soon as my eyes would open, I'd move into habit. So no wonder I kept getting the same results. So the whole concept of everything that we teach is that we teach you how to use the skills and the mental tools that you already own that you don't even know that you have. That's really what I do, is I help people waking up to their own potential, start to become absolute masters at using their mindset and create the life that they want. It's not just about listening to this and going, oh, right, that's what it is. I'll just choose to, believe in myself. That's not going to work because you're conditioned to maybe not believe in yourself. So I'm just telling you this so that you can go, oh, I now know what I need to work on. I need to change my thinking. I need to change my paradigm so that they're in harmony. Okay. Now, let me just draw one little thing that I think many of you will resonate, that perhaps you're at that place of wanting to change. So we've been talking about freedom. Okay. And that's over here on the other side of this little wall. Now, this little wall in our community, we call the terror barrier. This is the wall that we smash up against every time we want to go and act on what we want to do. Okay. And I want to know if you can resonate with it. Like, here's you. All right. Before maybe this class, this master class, or before anything else, you were just kind of you doing your own thing. But now that I have started to give you ideas, now that you've started to think about what you want, you've started to entertain the thought. And for some, that will not be in harmony with the paradigm. So what happens is, if you imagine these ideas are like Y-type ideas, they're like, oh, these big, exciting ideas, real positive. But the problem is you've got X-type conditioning. Your big goals of multiplying your income and doing everything is great, but then there's this little inner voice going, no, but come on, wise up. If you're experiencing that, let me know in the chat box. Now, what will happen is you will go right up to that wall. Yes, I'm going to do it. This is it. I'm doing it once and for all. Oh my goodness, I feel a wee bit sick. No, I'm not going to bother. And you come right back to here again. Then sometime you'll maybe listen to one of these videos or whatever. You'll read a book and you go, yeah, no, that's it. Now's the time. And then for whatever reason, you bounce off it again. Does anybody resonate with this? You are so close, but yet you're so far. Please type into the chat box if this resonates with you. Do you feel like you know what you want, you see it, but you just are terrified to step out on yourself? If that is the case, then you need to come and work with us. I mean, there's no other way about it. Because to get onto the other side, what we do is we help you smash through this into mental freedom. Break out of the mental jail that you may not even know you're in. Smash through those invisible ceilings and barriers to what you think you can achieve. The only way to smash through into this is to develop your mindset, develop your understanding. How do we do that? We have to get the right knowledge we have to study it. That's what we teach. It's not about a new strategy. It's not about any of those things. It's about rethinking how you've thought. And you've got to be willing to do that. Now, the problem that I see people get stuck in is they kind of accept that. I get it. But they're sometimes unwilling to do the things that they need to do to get that. Sometimes our excuses are bigger than our wants. And that's usually the case because we don't spend that much time thinking about our wants. We spend a lot of time firefighting, seeing what's not going right. So if that's the more dominant idea in your mind, then that's where all your energy is going. Remember, where attention and focus goes, energy flows. So this is why when I'm teaching my clients, I have to take them through a very specific process. You have to attack all of this in a certain order. I always explain it like it's a recipe. And you can't decide that I'm going to bake a cake and you're going to bake a cake. And you decide, well, I'm not going to put eggs in mine and I'm going to put it in the oven, but I'm not going to switch it on. You can't mess with a recipe. You can't mess with how it is supposed to be done. It is a very specific formula. But when you follow it, when you study it, when you understand it, boom, you will move into a state of faith. Now, in explaining faith, and Napoleon Hill says this very clearly in the book, it's very hard to explain faith to somebody who hasn't quite understood it or felt it in their lives. Where faith comes from, right, is when you decide and you start to work on your mind and you've started to step out and apply yourself. See, when I study when I help my clients study, we are studying to understand, to apply. I don't sit every week for months on end just motivating my clients. That's absolutely useless. I give them specific instructions to give them structure. Right now, we're going through our 90-day process because if they don't go out and take action, remember, action, reaction. It's the action reaction that creates the real learning, which creates faith. And a lot of people say to me, Kim, I don't have the confidence. And I always say, how will you know when you have the confidence? Are you going to wake up someday and go, oh, I have confidence today? No. You perhaps have a limited self-image, and that's why you don't have the confidence, but that was built in the past. So in order to create a new confidence, in order to create new things in your life, you've got to be able to step out and take action. Now, because, and this particular lesson I'm teaching you is lesson 7 in thinking into results. And the reason it's at 7 is because before you even get to here, we've got to do the groundwork. We've got to know where we're going. We've got to attune your habits and your beliefs to match. I don't just go to people, okay, go. You've no confidence, just go. You'll grow wings on the way. No, we build everything up so that when you get to this part, to taking action, you've already developed the habits that back it up. You've already developed the beliefs that back it up. Then when you go out and take action, you get the reaction. That's what creates faith. Because suddenly you go, I did it. It worked. Okay? Now, how do we get to that point so that we're not banging our head off a wall all of the time? Because this is all internal. This is an internal thing that happens, and most of us just are terrified of it. It's uncomfortable. So we back off. We don't want to go there. Now, again, on this book, U Squared, Price Pritchard explains this very, very well on page 22. And it's all about choosing a different set of risks. He says the risks hit you rather apparent. You may be quite threatened, but you must stack them up against the hidden risks you accept when you decide to live with the status quo. So yes, you may have to, quote unquote, risk something to get into freedom. But what I always say, and this was the exact thing I said to myself 4.5 years ago, if I stay where I am, what is that costing me? What risks is that posing me? Because if I stay where I am, I'm not going to grow. So I'm going to be automatically going down this left-hand side of ignorance. I don't want that for my life. I don't want that for other people in my life. What is it costing you financially to stay where you are? What is it costing you in your relationship to stay where you are? What is it costing you in your health to stay where you are? Mental health, physical health. These are really important questions, and I really want you to answer them for yourself. What is it costing you to stay where you are? Now, what he goes on to say is, ask yourself what you're risking if you do not go for the quantum leap. The risk is that you won't get what you really want out of life. Now, you've only got one life. And I think sometimes we forget that. And as Bob says, sometimes we tiptoe our way to death. We just want everything, just don't rock the boat. Everything's fine. Let's just get this done. It's not a chore to be here on this planet. It's a gift. And you're here for a purpose. So really remember that. He says you've got to understand that you can never escape risk. So whether you stay here or whether you go here, there's always going to be something on the line. Always. Life is always about change. So you've got to now weigh up. I know what I can, because you can always measure here. You can always measure what you're giving up. Always, always, because you can see it. You can count it. You can look at it. So you can always measure what you're going to give up, but you will never measure what you can gain because you've no idea your abilities. I don't even know what my true potential is. I know it's a lot. And that's why when I was in the position I was in 4.5 years ago, I could see financially my way wasn't working. I could see my relationships were poor because I didn't love me. I could see my health was deteriorating because I didn't have the motivation or energy. So I was stuck. Okay, this is like stuck. And yeah, I had no idea what was over on this side of freedom. I couldn't even begin to guess. I didn't have this, what would you say, proof that I could do it. In fact, that's why I never told my parents that I was leaving nursing and going to start my own company. Because my mom and dad would have wanted to see the proof, see the evidence, see all of these things. But what you've got to realize is if you need to see the evidence, that is not faith. That's no faith. Faith is the ability to see the invisible, believe in the incredible, and do what the masses call impossible. That's why usually only 3% get to this other side. Because we are so obsessed with living through our senses, what we can see, what we can taste, what we can smell, touch, proof, evidence. But the lack of evidence is not proof that nothing's going to happen. This is where faith comes in. Now, the way I look at it is, because I'm always thinking about this in my mind, is okay, I've got proof of what this side of the table gives me. I can't see what I'm going to get over here. I know what I want over here, but I can't see it. So for any of you sitting today going, but Kim, I just want to know what it's going to be like over there. You've really got to ask yourself, well, you're not going to know until you get there. Okay. And if you're maybe saying, but how do I know it'll all work out? Well, let's go back up to here. You know for a fact that when you doubt and when you worry, it creates fear. When you're fearful, it turns into anxiety, it turns into depression. Now, I think you believe that because I know you could think of something in your mind right now that you've doubted over or you've worried over. It's turned into that horrible feeling and it hasn't worked out well. Okay. So if you believe in that and you can go, yes, I can prove that, then why would it not work for the complete opposite? If you're a pro, because I know I've been a pro at this left-hand side of being ignorant, not knowing something, feeling a bit sick. And I know that's 100% happens, right? So if you can totally go, yes, I felt that, then it's the same concept, but just the other flip side of it. So whilst you might right now have no idea how this happens, you've got to have faith that it is the exact same as the polar opposite, because it is. So what you want to be asking right now is, where do I get the right knowledge and how do I study? And for you to answer that question, you've got to make a decision. Because right now, if we look at where you're at in life, you're operating somewhere on some frequency. You've got a goal that you want, but right now, let's just say you're here. And your results are on that frequency wave. Frequency wave is just a track in which your mind operates on, okay? So when you think, you always are thinking from this frequency wave. But what you really want is your goal. And it's not going to be on the same level of operation that you're on, or you'd have it, okay? So your goal is always going to be such a bigger vision of what's possible for you. But if you've been listening very attentively to me this week, you will have learned that your thoughts turn into things. It's your thoughts that matter. So what you've got to do is you've got to start to think on this level. That's what I train people to do. Work from their goal. Now, this is where it comes down to you and only to you. If you want to go up to this level, which is the only place that you can achieve your goal on, you can't achieve it in any other level. If that's where you want to go, if that's where you want to live life, if that's what you want to experience, then you've got to go there. Now, if that confuses you, I want to make it very simple. There is one mental move that you can make right now, today, to get you to move in that direction. And that is a decision. Making a decision is a mental move. It doesn't cost you a penny. It doesn't take any time. But it's the only thing that you've got to do to get things moving. Because remember what I said, you can't see, like see this line here in which you're operating on. You can't see these other lines. They're invisible to you because you haven't been there yet. Like you think of other things in your life that have happened, you can look backwards. Have you ever heard the Steve Jobs quote where he says, you know, it's only until the dots join up when you look back. So you've got to really have faith that they will connect in the future. And when people like Steve Jobs act in faith, because they can prove, well, this has happened and this has happened and it all works the same, you can start to launch out into the deep because you've got faith, you've got understanding. But you've got to make a decision first. A lot of people say, well, I'm going to go there when the kids finish school. I'm going to go there when this virus is over. And we say all these things. Yeah, I mean, I'll make a decision. Some people even let other people make their decisions for them. You've got one of the number one golden rules to success, and it is the thread that runs through every single successful person, and it's a success habit, and that is the ability to make a decision, a committed decision, not a flimsy decision. Not a decision of, I'll do it when this happens. I'll do it when that happens. Because do you know what happens? That's when you, I'm drawing everything out. That is when you think you're going to go there, but no, you just stay where you are. I'm going to go there when I get the money. I'm going to go there, whatever the situation is. What I want you to realize is you do not need money to make a decision. A decision is a mental move. You don't need money. You don't need time. You don't need anything. Now, to play devil's advocate for you, there will be some of you will think, but Kim, how can I do it when I don't have money? And I'm saying, well, you haven't made the decision to do it yet. You see, everything happens when you make a committed decision. It's such an interesting topic. It's that interesting that I have put in an entire article from Bob himself on decision inside your membership portal. So for anybody on the Dynamite Effect, you want to get over into our portal of the Freedom Series and read this article, because so many people do not understand the power of a decision. When you make a committed decision that you are no longer prepared to keep living the life that you're living, that you're finally fed up of being sick and tired and broke, when you make that mental committed decision, you are saying to the universe, bring it on. I'm not going back. And you don't need anything to make that decision. Now, when you make a committed decision, that's when you see these little puffy clouds. That's when you activate new ideas, new thoughts. You will attract every single thing that you need to achieve your goal. Now, that's where the faith comes in, because right now you probably don't believe that. A lot of my clients didn't believe it before they came to me until they started practicing this, when they started to study with this every week and apply it to their business, to their life, to their relationships. They didn't know how they were going to do half the things they were going to do. In fact, some clients didn't even know what they wanted to do before they even came to work with us. But they made a committed decision, not an interested decision. When you're interested, you do what is convenient. When you're committed to your goal, which is why you really want your goal, you'll do what it takes. So what I want you, as you listen to this today, to understand is that nothing happens until a decision is made. Literally nothing. You'll keep staying right down here where you've always been. And you might listen to things like this and not doing anything with it. You're only holding up your own success. This is why we invite you to book a call, because I know that there's probably little things running around in your mind that if we just had a chat, it would make so much more clear to you. I know this first part is sometimes terrifying, but why not just have faith? Why not just borrow my belief? Because I'm the expert in this. I'm the one that guides you in this. Every single week for 6 months, I teach you to become an expert just like me, so that you can then go out and really serve people, serve your family, serve yourself. You've got to be able to make a committed decision. The opposite to making a decision is procrastination. And again, ask yourself, what is it costing you to stay on the other side of freedom? It's going to cost you far more than what it will take to get you over to freedom. Always has, always will be. And it all comes down to a choice. Stay where you are or go after what you want. Your purpose is always bigger than your pains. Now, what you're going to experience is the longer you take to make a decision, the more internal conflict you will feel. Even as you begin to make the decision, things will flare up. Your paradigm will go, no, we don't want you to change. We love operating here. But the problem is we don't love the results there. So I want to invite you today, as we bring this Freedom Series to an end, I want to thank you for being here. It has been my absolute pleasure in sharing this material. This material has changed hundreds and hundreds of my clients' lives. People just like you, people just like me. We are like a family. And I want to invite you today to join that. I want you to join us for the next whatever month it takes for you to achieve your goal. I want you in this year, when it would be very easy to sit back in safety and go, well, it's just not the year. That would be so easy to do, but my goodness, that would be so detrimental to your mind, to your mindset, to your results, to your health, everything else. I truly believe that if you've sat here for 5 days and listened, then there is a purpose for you. You are supposed to be listening to this. And that's why I do what I do. I show up, but I can't want it more than you want it. Okay. So as always, and this is the final time that we're going to be asking for you to book a call, is reach out to us. Find out what's going on in your life. You might be sitting there going, okay, but what is it that you do? You don't need to know any of that right now. You don't need to know how much it costs. You don't need to know what time it takes. All questions that are coming into your mind, just set them aside. That's not important right now. What is important is us having a conversation to see what is right for you. I work solely with people that are committed to wanting to create greatness in their life, whatever that looks like. I am committed to showing up 100% and guiding you because somebody did that for me. Somebody had faith in me when I had no understanding of what faith truly meant. But now, because I've got this gift, I just want to give it to you. I want to share it with you because I believe in you. And I don't need to know you to have that faith and belief. I understand people. And you are someone. So I really want you to take this opportunity to reach out, book a call with us, and let's just take this conversation to the next level. Until you make a decision, nothing happens. And the only prerequisite to making a decision is you've got to want whatever it is that you want. So if you're ready to make a change, if you're finally going, that's it, I want to go out and create greatness, then go for it. The very last thing I want to read is on page 34 of this U Squared book. It says, don't bog yourself down with getting prepared. Whatever else you need will come as you go. A person could make a career out of laying the groundwork to do something really big. But please understand, you don't prepare for a quantum leap. You make it, and then you fine-tune your approach. That's the frequency. You go for it instead of forever getting ready, so you'll be sure to get it right. This is a hostile concept in the pursuit of a quantum leap. First you act, then you frame out the details of your strategy. So start and let whatever happens happen so that you develop your game plan. Getting ready is quite frankly a stalling tactic, an act of anxiety, a con game that you're working on yourself. And this is the last line. You are already positioned to escape to a higher plane of performance. If you wait until you can get it perfect, you will never get it at all. So guys, there's nothing to wait for. You were supposed to be here. You were drawn to this. I didn't personally invite anybody. And you've really got to ask, in this world that we're living in right now, what are you doing? What is your plan? What are you doing differently than what you've done before? And it all comes back to the mind. So it has been my pleasure being here with you and hosting this 5 days. As I said, there's a link both in the Dynamite Effect and in the portal for you to book a call. Make a decision today. Book it today. We're starting a new cycle of thinking into results, and our doors are currently open. And we're looking for you. We're looking for people who are ready and willing. You don't need anything else but a desire to win. That is it. That's my only thing that I ever look for. We'll help you with the rest. We'll help you work out the steps along the way. That's what we do together. And I'm so excited to speak to you. So reach out. Thank you for everything that you've done here. We will be coming back with one bonus call, which we'll let you know all about. It's going to be on Monday evening at 8 p.m. We're going to send that out in the email, but you're going to have to register for this bonus call. It's going to be slightly different than what you've seen. And it's going to be absolutely amazing. If you ever hear me on a Q&A, you will love it. So come on, ask your questions. Let me personally work with you, but you've got to register for the call. So you've got to come into the portal, hit the register button. That will go up later on today. And then we'll be back on Monday evening for a bonus session on Q&A. So everything you've learned, bring it there. Ask me questions. There's nothing I won't answer. And I look forward to it. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. And thank you for being here in the Freedom Series. Bye-bye.